Hey guys, welcome to this tutorial, and in this tutorial we're going to go over how to create this, which is FirebaseUI. It's a implementation of this part here where we have this social logins. Instead of coding everything from scratch, you can just have all of these icons implemented, generated naturally by Firebase. Instead of creating individual buttons and styling it, you get Firebase to kind of standardize it and update it for you. So if I click on this, I can log into one of my accounts, and I console logged, signed in by user programming rocks, log out, sign back into this one, Simon Saw, sign in by Simon Saw, and then I can also do GitHub, logged in by Simon Saw GitHub. And if you go to my GitHub account, that's actually my GitHub, that's my name that I have on temporarily. And I can also do Twitter, and you can do Facebook, email logins. I think there's LinkedIn, I'm not sure, but you can do the other ones that are available on FirebaseUI, and you can also log out. So it's a way to kind of implement more standardized way from Firebase instead of manually coding everything. So maybe it's a bit of a shortcut. The documentation is at Firebase, and if I go to Firebase, the UI, Firebase UI part, pre-built UI on the web part, that's where I get some of the documentation from. The documentation here is a bit incomplete. I had to dig around in other areas of the documentation, which I'll show you where I got it from, to make this completely working. If you just follow this and you try to implement it in your Vue.js or probably React.js app as well, you're not going to get it to work. You have to kind of get everything all in one place together to get it work. So I'm going to show you where I found some of the documentation. So anyways, that's how this app works. I did Google, Twitter, and GitHub. So let's get into the tutorial, and I'll show you how to install Firebase UI. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is obviously create the Vue app. So let's do that. Vue create practice. I'm just going to call it practice 8. Fully work. Firebase UI Vue 3 app. Cannot contain capital letters. I did not know that. So let's do Firebase UI. And Vue 3. So as soon as this is done, I'll come back. Okay, so we have our app all installed, so we're going to go ahead and cd into it. I'm just going to go to Vue.js and Firebase UI. I think it was this one right here. So log into that. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go to our Firebase console. We're going to go to Firebase console. You have to create an account. If you have a Gmail account, you can log in. Then we have to create a project. We're going to name it very simply practice 8 Vue 3 Firebase UI app. Continue, select your account, and then you're just going to create an app inside this project, and then get the console, the configuration file options for it, so you can actually register your app and have your app be recognized by Firebase's database. So continue on, and you want to go to, so if you go to project settings, we have nothing here, so there are no apps in your project, so you just click on this one for the web one. The other ones are Android and something else. It's going to create practice 8 Firebase UI Vue app, register app, and we want to go ahead and install Firebase right here. So let's open our terminal and then install Firebase. Then we want to copy and paste this. We want to go to our source, or you can do it in your components file, but I'm just going to do it in my source. Doesn't really matter too much for this application since it's really simple. I'm going to name it Firebase config.js and copy and paste that in there. and our Firebase has installed properly in npm. And then here we're going to call this export default, so we'll be able to import it and use it in our component app, component file. So let's come down here, and we're going to go ahead and delete everything from the very top. We don't just gonna leave the title message and delete everything else. And here we're going to go ahead and create a variable. We're going to use Vue refs, so import ref to make a dynamic variable in composition API. So ref here from Vue, and then we're going to go ahead and create setup down here. Setup and const user is equal to ref, and we're just going to create an empty or null. Let's create null, and another one, const is signed in, so it's going to be ref and false. And then at the very bottom we have to return it. So let's do return is signed in and user. And at the very top we're going to go back and say h2 signed and user is going to be this. And we're only going to show this if the variable user is defined. So let's just run that, npm run serve. So what we have, just refresh this since it's going to be at localhost 8080. Wait for that to build up and compile. Great, so we have welcome to your Vue.js app, and if we change our username to Simon Sa, then it says sign in user is Simon Sa. So that's just a sign that indication that we logged in once we have that all set up. So we're just going to leave it as null for now. And the next thing we want to do is we have to import the Firebase configuration file, and let's delete that, trash that, and we're going to initialize Firebase. Import Firebase config, whoops. And we're going to, so if we go to our Firebase initialization place, we have to, this is the code that I'm going to use. I'm just gonna, I forgot where I got it from. So this is the part where I'm looking at the documentation of where to get the code from. So upgrade from version 8 to modular web SDK. We're using, I think we're using version 9, the most recent. So we don't need auth, we don't need Firestore, so we're just gonna import this part right here and paste that in there. And then we're going to do Firebase initialize Firebase config. So the next part is we go to this part of the documentation, sign in with pre-built UI, and then we go down here and we install Firebase as an npm module. That's what we're using, npm. So let's do that. We don't need the save part. Get that all up and running. And then we're actually not going to use this part. That's also part of the documentation that we're going to skip because it's going to give us errors. Instead, we're going to do this. we're going to come to Firebase UI web GitHub page. And then if we go down here, we can see that we have to, so we installed it with npm, and then we have to import, we already did the import Firebase compat app to as a SDK 9, I think, version, or whatever that was. And then we have to import Firebase UI and the CSS along with it to style it. So let's do that. So now we have Firebase UI. That's an important part that we're going to use. So if we go back to Firebase, we're going to actually use it in our setup area. So we're going to come down here to initialize Firebase UI. That's what we have to do. So we're going to copy and paste this. And we're going to bring it into our setup area. And then we're going to add in UI start, and this is the configuration part. I'm just going to do that separately so we can organize our code. So UI start right there, copy and paste that. And we're going to just say UI config. And up here, we're going to do a const UI config, const UI config. And you can look at the documentation for this. I'm just going to do sign in flow is going to be pop-up. You can do non-pop-up, which will redirect the web page to the single page application to the login websites that are appropriate for each of the social logins. But here we're just gonna use pop-up, then sign in success URL. I'm just gonna do localhost since that's what we're using. We're also going to set the return to false later for the success callback so that it doesn't refresh the page and allows the single page application to register refresh automatically, I think with async coding, or just refresh the page without refreshing the page actually, so it doesn't refresh the data. And then sign in options, we are going to use Firebase, so we can if we go to here, we're going to copy and paste Google, Facebook, Twitter, and GitHub. I'm not going to use Facebook right now, but you can use Facebook too. I just skipped it because I liked Twitter and GitHub better. And then we want to do callbacks. So callbacks, this is where I'm going to do the sign in success result and function auth result redirect URL. If we go to the documentation here, that's where we have the function auth result and redirect URL. But we don't need the redirect URL because we're just not sure why, but we're not using it here, so we're just gonna do that. And then here, when we want false, so that the so it doesn't refresh the page. Then here we're going to say user.value is equal to auth result display name, so we can console.log auth result just to show you guys what we have in a bit. And we're going to say is signed in the value is equal to true, and console log signed in by user value. And let's just see if we have any errors. npm run serve. to our localhost 8080, and we do have a problem. So line 44. Callbacks, is that? Do we need a comma there? Oh, that's not it. Oh, UI config, we need a comma there. Where is that? UI config. We need a comma right here. And nothing is showing, so let's see why that is. Oh, it is showing. Uncaught error, cannot find FirebaseUI widget. So let's see why that error is. We should be able to see something here now. Oh, we haven't added this part in, so let's go back here, and we have to add we need this part right here to actually load, to show FirebaseUI where to load in. So let's do that. Go back here, and there you go. We have our options here. The loading section is still showing, so we have to show in the command where that we want that to be hidden. So we're going to go to here, and you want this part, UI function, the widget is rendered, hide the loader. So let's add that in after the callbacks. So callbacks right here, and then, is that right there? No, it's supposed to be inside the callback. So this one is the first one, and then this one is the second one. So now let's go back here, and there you go. We have the loader button gone, and then we can log in. And Firebase error, authorization configuration not found. So let's go back to our Firebase console, and then continue to console, then go to authentication, get started. So we want Google, enable, not configured, configure that just myself. Then we want Twitter, enable that. And we have to go to Twitter Developer API. And we have to go to Developer Portal and view social login, or you can just create a new one, I guess. You can add an app, create new, development, next, app name, FirebaseUI login, then let's just say practice 8. So copy the API key, go back here, paste that in, and then we have to get the API secret, this one right here, API secret, and then we have to copy the callback URL, copy this, then go to app settings, authentication, auth 2.0, callback URL, select one, single page application, website URL, just do that. Same thing, this callback URL, and then done. Yes, I saved it, and Twitter is working, and then let's do GitHub, enable, GitHub, developer settings, let's do new OAuth app, FirebaseUI, view practice 8. I think I can just do localhost for this one. Callback URL, let's copy this. That's for GitHub, and then register application. Then I think I can get the client ID right here. So copy the client ID there and generate new client secret. Enter my password in and copy and paste that into here. Save that. Okay, so if we go back to our application and sign in with Google, it pops up, relaxation music. And so if we go back, I logged into auth result, that's this part right here, and we get to see user, display name, relaxation music, sign in by user, relaxation music. Then now let's create the log out button. So I'm going to do br div if signed in is true, is signed in, then we want to show the log out button. So at click, I'm just gonna say handle sign out. Then we're going to go to our setup area. And const handle sign out. Then we want to say const user is equal to ref null. Const is signed in is equal to ref false. Wait, what am I doing? That's not it. You'll want to actually go back to our Firebase UI, and then here we can just go to any of these ones. I'm just showing where the documentation is. Sign out, and we want to copy and paste this part. Sign out auth. But we also need to do get auth, so we have to, let's do this first. So import get auth and sign out. So let's go back to our import area and then import that, get auth and sign out. And we have to do const auth is equal to get auth. And then copy and paste this. And then this auth variable is going to be used in this copied and pasted section right here. That's the auth. And we want to say user value is equal to null. Is signed in value is equal to false. And console log signed out. Really gotta love GitHub Copilot. It's kind of saving time on the small typing out stuff. Then we want to see on sign out, we want to say console log error. We're not going to see any errors here, but just for reference. Then we have to export this or reference this here so it can be actually referenced in the template area. And then refresh the page, sign in. Then we have the sign out button, and then we sign out, user signed out, and then we don't see the the login section again, so we have to actually copy this UI, which loads the UI, and then we have to, on sign out success, we have to load this in again so we can actually see the login buttons again. So sign in, infotainment land, sign out, and then we see this again, GitHub, sign in, and this I think is going to give an error because we're not allowed to sign in multiple applications. So what we have to do is we have to go to our Firebase console, go to console, practice 8, authentication, and sign in method. And we have to change the one account per email address setting to allow creation of multiple accounts with the same email address, because my GitHub and my Gmail account has the same email address. So once that's done, I can go back to this page, log in as my Gmail account, refresh the page. I think I got an error. I might have to reset the. I'm going to exit this, trash that, and npm run serve again. Sometimes it gives us error. I'm not sure why. I have to just rerun the page and close the browser and reopen it again. So log in with Gmail, console log, signed in properly. We have the correct object definition. Sign up, then sign up with GitHub. Sign in to GitHub, and that's my GitHub username. So yeah, that's how this app works. Now that just showed Twitter works. Authorize app. I'm not sure why Twitter and Gmail doesn't conflict, because I also use the same email for my Twitter account. So I guess this app isn't perfect, but that's how that works. There is a way to connect multiple accounts. Firebase UI, multiple username, one email. There's this page for linking multiple auth providers with one email account. And that's for if you want to only allow users from different social logins with the same email address to only have one account each. You have to add in a function where once they log in from different options, different social logins, they have to link the account to each other. I'm not going to show you how to do that here, but let me know if you guys are interested in that. I could take a look into it. It's a little bit more complicated, so I have to take more time into creating that tutorial separately. But that's how you create this. Log into Google one more time. Relaxation music. Log into Programming Rocks. Sign out. GitHub. Sign out. Twitter. Authorize, and sign up. Okay, so that's how this works. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you guys want to see any more other Vue.js related tutorials, please leave it in the comment section down below, and I'll take a look into it and see if I can create a tutorial for that. Otherwise, I'll be just making random Vue.js related tutorials myself. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.